I run a small print shop in Akron, Ohio. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. I built it from nothing. Mine started with just me and a secondhand printer in my garage. And now I've got 3 employees, solid clients, and steady work from local businesses and schools. Every dollar that comes through that door means something to me. I don't throw money around, and I definitely don't let people mess with my business accounts. I've been married to Tara for 9 years. We've had our ups and downs, sure, but we made it work. She's a dental assistant, mine a steady job, good with people. But her sister Danielle, she's been a problem since the day I met her. Danielle is one of those people who's always floating. Never stable. 6 jobs in 3 years, moved cities twice, and crashed with us once before for what was supposed to be just a week that turned into 3 months of excuses and late nights. I didn't trust her, and I told Tara that many times. But Tara always felt responsible for her family. Back in February, Danielle lost her job again. Something about a manager who supposedly hated her. 2 days later, her lease fell apart, and just like that, she was back in our house. Tara promised it would be short, minus 2 weeks maximum. I said fine, but made it crystal clear I wasn't happy about it. That's when Danielle started poking around my work, asking questions, telling me she had this big idea to start her own brand. Candles, bath stuff, maybe some gift boxes. She talked like it was already a booming business. I nodded politely but kept my distance. I didn't want her involved in anything I was doing. Then one afternoon, she came into my shop while I was printing bulk flyers for a local church event. She asked if I could help her order some supplies using one of my vendors. Said they had exactly the kind of packaging she wanted, and she'd pay me back immediately. Just one small order, minus jars, labels, nothing big. I told her no. But that night, Tara brought it up again. Said Danielle felt bad even asking, that it would help her get back on her feet and she'd only order what she needed and pay it back right away. I was tired, it was late, and I gave in. I emailed my vendor and said Danielle would be placing one order under my name. I gave her the contact information and made her promise she'd let me see the invoice before confirming anything. That was the last I heard about it for 2 weeks. Then I got a call from my vendor. He sounded casual at first. Hey, just checking, minus, do you want to pay off the balance this week or wait till the 30th? I said, what balance? There was a pause. The recent orders came out to 7,350 minus total. I thought I heard him wrong. 7,000? Yeah, over the last couple weeks. Everything's been shipped already. I felt my stomach twist into knots. I asked him to send me all the order summaries and invoices immediately. Within 10 minutes, I had an email with a list of purchases that made my jaw drop. She didn't just buy jars and labels. She bought a heat press, a commercial printer, custom packaging materials, fragrance oils, and some kind of complete setup for a home business. And it wasn't just one or minus, there were 4, each one larger than the last. Each under my name. And on 3 of them, I saw a scrawled signature at the bottom where I was supposed to sign. It wasn't mine. It was Danielle's name, but written like she was trying to copy my signature. I printed everything out and drove straight home. When I walked in, Tara was on the couch, and Danielle was in the kitchen making a smoothie. I put the papers down on the counter. Danielle, did you use my business account to buy all this? She didn't even look up from the blender. Yeah, but you'll make more. It's not like you're broke. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You forged my signature. She rolled her eyes. No, I just signed it so they'd process the order. You said I could use the account. I said for one order. Small, that I could see first. Tara got up then, already trying to smooth things over. It was just a misunderstanding. She thought minus. Stop, I said. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is theft. Danielle looked me dead in the eye and said, you're really going to freak out over this. You act like I stole from a stranger. We're family. I walked out. That night, I didn't come home. I slept at the shop on the couch in my back office. I didn't even bring a change of clothes. I just sat there staring at the ledger, reading those orders again and again, thinking minus, what if the vendor hadn't called? How much further would she have gone? The next morning, I started making calls. I talked to the police. I talked to the vendor and asked for every recorded call, every delivery receipt, every confirmation email tied to those orders. And I called my bank because what I found next made everything so much worse. I went through my bank statements with a highlighter in one hand and a sick feeling in my chest. The vendor charges were there, just like I expected. But that wasn't all. There were other charges minus ones that didn't make sense. A few from Amazon, some from Etsy, a couple from places I didn't even recognize. One was for $1,200 at a website that sells startup business kits. Another was for $750 from a marketing agency based in Florida, all tied to my business debit card. My card was in my wallet. I called the bank immediately and froze the account. They said the charges were all online minus no chip, no swipe, just the card number and billing information. Which means whoever used it had access to my business files. Which means Danielle went into my office and helped herself. The shop has a locked cabinet where I keep all the financial documents. She must have gone through it while I was out one day, probably while I was on site with a customer. The thing that pissed me off the most wasn't even the money minus, it was the way she walked around like she hadn't done anything wrong. Like it was owed to her. Like I was being dramatic. I showed up at the house again that night without calling first. Tara opened the door, looked surprised, and asked if I was ready to talk. I didn't answer. I went straight to the living room and said loud enough for both of them to hear, "I want my key back." "Both of you?" "No." Danielle came out of the kitchen with that smug little look she always has. "Seriously? You're kicking us out?" I stared at her. "You stole from me. You used my account, forged my name, and made purchases with my business card. You think I'm just going to let that slide?" Tara stepped between us. "This is getting out of hand. We can sit down and talk." "No," I said. "There's nothing to talk about." I turned to Danielle. "You've got 40 minus 8 hours to leave this house. I'm changing the locks. I already froze the account, and I've got a lawyer now." Tara's face went pale. "You called a lawyer? You think I wasn't going to?" I looked between them. "You both made choices. Now I'm making mine." Danielle's voice got sharp. "I thought you were a decent guy. You're really going to sue family over a few $1,000s?" "No," I said. "I'm pressing charges." That shut her up. Tara pulled me aside, whispering like Danielle couldn't still hear us. "You don't have to do this. She'll pay it back." "With what? She doesn't even have a job. And even if she did, she had weeks to come clean. Instead, she lied, she stole, she forged my signature. And you," I looked her straight in the eye, "you covered for her." Tara started crying. I didn't care. I left again that night, didn't even stay to argue. I just needed space and time to think. But that wasn't the end of it. The next morning, one of my longtime clients emailed me asking why Danielle had reached out to them on behalf of my company, offering new services. She used my business email. That's when I realized it wasn't just about the money anymore. Danielle was trying to use my company minus she was pretending to represent me, selling services I didn't even offer, using my name to build her side hustle. And Tara knew. Because when I checked the email thread, I saw the CC line minus dare or michael77@gmail.com. She was on the chain. She saw the emails. She never said a word. I sat there staring at the screen for a long time. My wife and her sister didn't just make a mistake. They hijacked my business and tried to play it off like it was no big deal. They had no idea who they were messing with. Because now, I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my office staring at my whiteboard trying to figure out where it all went wrong. My trust wasn't just broken minus, it was shattered. This wasn't a slip minus up. This was a setup. By the next morning, I had a plan. First thing I did was lock down everything. Changed all business emails, passwords, security questions, access codes, even the Wi-Fi in the shop. I removed Tara's name from the emergency contact list with my vendor and my accountant. Then I called every client Danielle had contacted pretending to represent me and told them the truth. "Someone's been impersonating me," I said. "If you get any more emails like that, forward them to me immediately and don't respond." Most of them were understanding. A few were angry, but they weren't mad at me minus they were mad they'd been lied to. One of them, a guy named John who runs a local landscaping company, said Danielle had offered to redesign his whole fleet branding for $500. When I asked how she planned to do that, he said she showed him samples. They were my samples from my old pitch deck. She must have found it on my hard drive when I left my shop computer unlocked one day. That's when it hit me. Danielle hadn't just stolen money minus, she was stealing my identity. My business. My work. I checked my Instagram page for the shop. It was private, nothing new. Then I checked an account I didn't recognize that had started tagging some of my clients. It was called Glow Crate Studios. And there it was minus my photos, my logos, even my old slogan. Only now it said Creative Print Solutions by Danielle M. I almost threw my phone across the room. I took screenshots of everything, sent them to my lawyer, and flagged the account. But it wasn't over, because here's the next twist. Minus Danielle had registered an LLC in Ohio under the name Glow Crate Studio, the same name she'd used for the Instagram. I looked up the public record, and guess who signed as the co-minus owner? Tara. Right there on the registration form in black and white, minus Tara Michaels, Danielle Michaels. I couldn't breathe for a second. I felt sick. They used my business as a stepping stone to build their own. They used my contacts, my money, my samples, my vendor account. And now they had their own registered company built on top of it. I called Tara at work. She didn't answer. I sent a text minus we need to talk now. She responded a few minutes later minus I'm working. What is it? I didn't reply. I drove straight to her office and waited in the parking lot. When her shift ended, she came out smiling like everything was normal, until she saw me. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I just handed her the printout of the LLC registration. What the hell is this? She looked at it, then at me. Her face went white. You registered a company with Danielle using my materials. You stole from me. She started crying again. Said it wasn't like that. Said it was just an idea and nothing came from it. I told her to save it. You forged my name, Tara. You knew what she was doing and you helped her. That's not a mistake. That's fraud. She tried to grab my hand. Please don't do this. It wasn't what you think. I pulled away. I know exactly what it was. That night, I moved out of the house and into a rental near the shop. Just one bedroom, nothing fancy, but I needed space. My lawyer drafted a cease and desist letter for both Danielle and Tara. He also filed the paperwork to report the fraudulent use of my business materials and started prepping a civil suit. But then things got worse. A week later, I got a call from my vendor. He said, "Hey, just wanted to let you know we've been contacted by someone claiming to be your new business partner. She said you're stepping back and she's taking over the client side." It was Danielle. She was trying to hijack my vendor account again. This time, I told the vendor to record any future calls. Then I went one step further minus I called the police and added attempted identity theft to the report. My lawyer sent another formal notice to Danielle's address letting her know we were filing for damages. Then, out of nowhere, I got served. Danielle and Tara were suing me. They claimed I'd agreed to mentor and fund the launch of Glow Crate Studios, and that I was now backing out unfairly after making verbal commitments. The court documents were insane mail of half-minus truths, lies, and text messages taken out of context. But the part that made my blood run cold, they were asking for damages minus $15,000 for loss of business opportunity. They were trying to flip this on me. They thought I wouldn't fight back. They thought I'd be scared of court, that I'd back off to avoid drama. They had no idea who they were dealing with. The day I was served with that lawsuit, I made 2 calls minus one to my lawyer, the other to a friend named Mike who used to work as a private investigator. I told him everything. He said, "I'll dig." While my lawyer prepared the countersuit, Mike started pulling records minus emails, social media posts, anything we could use to prove fraud, theft, and defamation. And we found plenty. Danielle had emailed 4 of my clients, pretending to be me, and 3 of them still had the emails. She used my logo on her new fake company website. Tara had even messaged to one client and told them I was burnt out and stepping back, and that Danielle was rebranding the business. They didn't just take my money minus, they tried to erase me. But here's the thing about people like Danielle and Tara minus, they're messy. They don't cover their tracks. They lie to everyone, even each other. Mike found messages between Danielle and a supplier where she admitted, "I didn't know she used the account. He's got money," she wrote. "He won't even notice." We printed that line in bold and attached it to our response to the court. And then it got better. Danielle had applied for a small business grant in my name, used my tax ID, tried to get $10,000 from a women's startup program through the city. Mike found the application. She claimed she was co-minus owner of my business and uploaded my company's bank statements as proof. That was the final nail. We sent everything to the DA's office minus the fraud, the forged invoices, the tax ID misuse, the email impersonation. It turned into a full criminal case. 3 weeks later, Danielle was arrested. Fraud, identity theft, forgery, and attempted wire fraud. Tara wasn't cuffed, but she got a formal notice that she was being investigated as a co-minus conspirator. She tried to call me, texted nonstop, said she didn't know it had gone that far, that she never meant for this to happen, that she only helped with the paperwork and thought it was all legitimate. I didn't respond. The court hearing was 6 months later. My lawyer brought in everything minus bank statements, vendor testimony, the emails, the LLC filing, and Danielle's own social media posts bragging about her new company. The judge didn't even let it drag out. Danielle was found guilty. She took a plea deal minus 18 months probation, 6 months house arrest, and had to pay restitution. But the best part, the civil suit. I sued both of them for damages to my business reputation, fraudulent use of my business identity, and emotional distress. Tara's name was on that LLC, which made her liable. She fought it at first, then her lawyer called mine and offered a settlement. She cashed out part of her 401k and paid me 20 minus $4,000. Danielle didn't have anything, but the court still awarded me 30 minus 1,000 in damages. She's paying it back monthly, court minus ordered. If she misses a payment, she goes to jail. I divorced Tara. No second chances, no long talks, no tears. I gave her exactly 30 days to get her stuff and leave the house. She begged, said she thought she was helping, said she thought I'd understand. I said, you stood next to me for 9 years, then you helped someone steal from me. There's no coming back from that. She moved in with her parents. My business took a hit for a while, but the support from my real clients helped. People saw what happened, and they had my back. If you even left Danielle scathing reviews online after she tried to relaunch under a new name. Didn't matter minus she got blacklisted from all the local suppliers. What gets around? And me? Got new clients, hired another employee, took every dollar from that settlement and reinvested it. But I kept one thing from all of it minus Danielle's fake Glow Crate Studios logo. Framed it, hung it in the back office. A reminder. Some lessons cost money. Some cost time. This one cost me a wife, a thief of a sister minus in minus law, and 6 months of hell. But I came out clean. I came out on top.